was asked yesterday why he's struggling so much, and he gave you a predictable response, but take a listen.
The one thing I would say, like big league spring training, you need it, It's tough to do it. Like, I thought I did everything I could to be ready. And then even just after 2 weeks, like noticing how much better I was throwing the ball just being here every day. You can't, there's nothing like, you have to go to spring training. So hopefully, for me, I hope teams see that. And, I don't know what Montgomery's doing, but I bet it's tough for him. Like, it's not easy. So I didn't face a big league hitter until I pitched my first game in the big leagues this year, and it's tough. You just have nothing to go off of. You're just kind of like, oh, let's see what we got. Faced 18-year-olds, but so it's all excuses, but it's the truth.
Where you come out on that before I go?
That's
on you and your agent. If you knew you needed it, why? But I get it. It's all about the Benjamin. Shout out Ice Cube. But Steiny, I guess the one thing Giant fans can take is, hey, this dude just won a Cy Young just last year. He's notorious for getting off to slow starts. Even if you think that's invalid, you still got something to look forward to.
I don't know.
That's the Rat on the Table brought to you by Atco, Steiny. No, that ain't I don't know. He better.
But he's had bad years. It's possible he could just have a bad year, and this is one of his bad years.
Well, then that would throw a super monkey wrench into how far and what this team can do if he's not, right behind Webb or above Webb when you talk about 1 and 1A in regard to aces, Steiny.
Yeah, I'm just
35 pitches in the fourth inning yesterday, 4 strikeouts. In 2 hits the first time through the order, and then after that, just like all his other starts, even the Pirates, 90 pitches in 4 innings.
Yeah, last year, obviously, he was 14-9 with a 2.25 ERA.
Damn.
Made 32 starts. Year before that, he only made 24 starts, ERA 3.38. And then the year before that, he made 27 starts, and his ERA was 4.20.
Well, we don't want that one. You don't want that one, yeah.
There's, he's year before that in 2020, he only pitched 11 games, but that was probably COVID.
So
year.
Do you get a Bosa feel to this where Bosa kind of, we know he held out, he missed camp, came back, and, nobody will say it was his best year, but there was definitely, a price to pay for missing what some people take for granted.
Well, first of all, he's a notorious slow starter, and they sign him late, and he's not in training camp. You have to prepare for getting a guy who doesn't help you early in the year at that point.
Well, you're living it now. No spring training.
Exactly. So, I don't know. If you're a Giants fan, do you look at it positively or negatively? And what I mean by that is, do you look at it and think, you know what, we're a game over 500 and Snell hasn't given us anything yet. So
I hadn't looked at it.
We're a game over 500, and if Snell starts pitching better, now we have another starter who's going to, gobble up at least 5 or 6 innings. But right now he can't even gobble up more than 4. He was through 90 pitches.
And you mentioned those 11
innings.
starts, the 7 of the 11 that were his turn. Steiny, what if I told you all 11, no pitcher, whoever filled in for him the 4 other times has gone 5 innings?
I know.
Like that's not good. That's that affects everybody. So again, all you can say is when he gets the ball again, hopefully I thought yesterday you're coming home, the place is packed, and again, it's Bryce Harper and the Phillies. I thought there you go. This is the game. You get a 3-run lead, and boy, Schwarber hit that ball almost where Ohtani hit it, if not farther.
That was a bomb. The Phillies hit. There's no doubt about that. But Snell, he can't pitch much worse than he started the season. He's already still over 10.
I guess.
Made 5 or 6 starts now.
And you know what, Steiny? I'm looking at you and Evan and telling the listeners it'll subside. He'll be right. But now you got me thinking, Goo, what if he's not? But you can't live your life like that. He's got to get it in. And, he's a veteran pitcher. So when he held out, I always, just real quick, Steiny, I took it as he knows he's a pro. He's been through this, dog and pony show of spring training a million times. He knows what he needs to do. now they're just kind of interested to see when he'll get it back.
I mean, the reality is our producer, Evan Giddings,
former college pitcher,
really deserves a victory lap. There's just no doubt about it. Because on the day the Giants signed Blake Snell,
stand up.
Evan Giddings said, I hope Giants fans realize that they're not going to like him.
He said those words.
The first month or two of the season.
I go, Evan, why are you being so negative?
And he said he always gets off to a slow start. And this year he's really going to get off to a slow start because he hasn't had any spring training.
Well, I do want people to know I'm not reveling in this whatsoever. I love Blake Snell. I think he's a great pitcher. And I did not expect him to be this bad. Okay. Like, he's been pretty damn
ERA is 10.
Yeah, he ain't doing too well. But right. I actually was encouraged a little bit by the last start just because.
Yesterday, you mean?
Yeah, yesterday. I mean, he made one bad pitch to Schwarber.
But 90 pitches in 4 innings,
Yeah, I mean, but he's never cracked 200 for a season, I don't think. So he's not a guy that goes deep into games that often. I think he set such a high bar last year with the Padres. The one thing that I feel like most fans should look for with Snell, always look, if you're like to the box score, how many hits he gives up. The one thing that I was really confused about his first, I think, 4 starts, he'd been giving up like 13 hits per 9 innings. He misses contact. Like, that's his whole game. He walks a ton of guys. He strikes out a ton of guys.
You ain't going to square up on him.
Generally, you don't, but teams have been squaring him up with frequency. That didn't happen as much yesterday, so that's what I was a little bit.
Well, there you go, Steiny. The positive in, obviously not his best start, but hopefully the best is yet to come.
Well, I mean, he's got to be better than this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way that he's this bad. Bob Melvin was talking about his outing yesterday and said he thought he had better stuff yesterday than he's had all season, but he just didn't get the results.
I feel like if that was his first start of the season, people would be fine with it, but it's the fact that it's followed 4 awful starts. I mean, I do wonder how long fans are willing to give him before they're okay with people ripping it.
Because that Pirate start was the one that I was like, oh, there's trouble here. He was laboring. I'm like, this is the Pirates. Evan can pitch against the Pirates.
They're barreling up a lot of baseballs against
no
them.
doubt.
Yeah, and this is what Bob Melvin said, and you could tell he was a little bit.
I feel better about Bo
edgy.
Go ahead.
A little edgy. He said when he was asked about Snell, he said, look, they just made him throw a lot of pitches again. He struck out 7. He was getting some swings and misses. It's just frustrating he can't get over the hump and get his pitch counts down in each inning. Once they start to mount, next thing you know, it's 90 pitches, and he has to come out after 4 innings. But I thought his fastball had good life. His slider had good life, and that usually takes a while for him. And his curveball had bite on it. He's just not getting the results right now. So,
all right,
if you listen to Bob Melvin, I think there's a chance that maybe his worst games are behind him. But I mean, it's funny because what are you going to do if he's healthy? I mean, you gotta run him out there every 5 days, no matter what.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
But he's not producing.
He's getting 32 mil.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. When Chapman wasn't hitting, when Soler started out.
You preaching now? Go ahead.
Soler started out poorly.
So you preaching patience right now?
No, I'm preaching. Because
that's all they can do.
Right, but what I'm saying is, what if he just doesn't get any better?
Then that would be a big blow.
I mean,
has
he ever pitched out of the bullpen?
Like
Snell.
If that even was brought to our, like, if that happened, it's all bad in the streets, Steiny, for the Giants.
Well, it's already all bad.
Well, no, you got Hicks, you got Harrison, you got Webb.
Right, and that's my point. I mean, he started 5 games. He's got a 10.4 ERA. I mean, how much, again, like I know he's a veteran, but what's the difference between the Giants wanting a playoff spot? Their goal is to get the wild card, and so they're worried about Luciano's defense. I mean, how long do you just go with Snell?
Well,
I mean, if you're telling me he's going to start 20, 25 games, but
I'm telling you
he's
that
not going to win?
Well, that's nightmare on Giant Street, so we're a long way from that. But I hear what you're saying. So it can get, what was a Yogi Berra, it can get late early. So we'll see what's going on. Nathan Hyatt, Steiny, what the hell did he do all offseason? Eat ice cream and play video games? WTF. Why can't he still pitch even with no spring?
Who's this?
Nathan Hyatt on the YouTube chat. But if you listen to his soundbite, he's telling you why, but he's also, and this is what I appreciated from the soundbite, he's being honest, Donnie. I know it sounds like excuses, but that's the reality is, you got to get the money. You got to pay the bills, but damn, they need him. And they're one game over 500. They were 6 under. That was their worst mark. They're one game over. You feel better about the team. I feel better about every component of this team. Even before I left, Steiny, I was letting the Jackals get to me about Bob Melvin. And now all of a sudden I'm watching him, oversee these comebacks, watch these youngsters gain this experience. So he's even looking more fresh to me. And they go out and beat the Phillies yesterday. And they went Martin Luther King. They overcame his bad outing or not up to his standard. So I guess, Steiny, there's nothing to see here until they start losing these games that he's pitching.
Who, Snell?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess now in his starts, they're 4-7.
Not good.
No. And the 4 games that they've won in Snell's starts, I shouldn't say Snell starts. It's either Snell or the person who replaced him because he was on the injured list. But there have been 11 starts with Snell or his replacement, and the starting pitchers those days are 0-7. And they're 4-7 overall, so that means the games they won after the starting pitcher of either Snell or his replacement got shellacked, and then they ended up coming back. So...
Well, he needs to get on it. And I'm looking at Randy Rodriguez out the bullpen, Steiny. What's not to like about him? I mean, a youngster getting it done.
Yeah, and he got the win yesterday for the San Francisco Giants. So 888-957-9570 is the number. The San Francisco Giants, they beat the Phillies yesterday 8-4. They fell behind 4-3 after getting up. But, this team has showed some resiliency in the last 2 weeks. And, it's one of those stretches where they've had 2 series that have been just strange series. They took 2 or 3 against the Pirates. They took 2 or 3 against the Mets, but they came from behind in both series. They blew leads in both series, and it's just making for some very interesting and exciting games right now, and it looks like it's kind of filtering over into the fans, and they're getting excited about this team.
No doubt, and we talked about it, the lack of people on 3rd and King, and I'll never forget you saying this about 3rd and King, what it meant to you, Steiny, or what you looked at, that cathedral on game day, but you said it was a party. And they keep this up, and it'll be a party. And right now they're winning 1 game over. Rome wasn't built one day. But the Luciano thing to me is I'm really watching how that plays itself out. And I've never, wasn't an infielder when I played, Steiny, but it's just amazing. He can go pick it if it's a difficult play, but the kind of routine ones to where they change the fortune of a game late innings, we've seen like 3 or 4 examples of like, oh my gosh.
This from the 501 on the Xfinity mobile text line. Steiny, have you looked at Snell's game log from last year? Yes, I have. Do you realize it could mean a playoff and World Series run to have him pitch toward the end of the season the way he did last season? Have you seen his consecutive games allowing 1 run or less? No need to panic at all. This is how Snell ramps up for a season.
Evan,
did you write that? Was that you?
No, the one thing that
was Sam in Berkeley.
No, the one thing they did leave out is that Snell, even in his best season, which last year, I guess, it was his best since he won his first Cy Young with Tampa Bay, he does not go very deep into games, like at any time. Like even when he's got his best stuff, I think the most innings he threw in a single game last year was 7. Like he has never gotten to the 8th in the last now year and a quarter.
And yet he won
incredible.
the Cy Young. Wow.
Well, yeah, because he usually doesn't give up any hits.
That's wow.
Or
Yeah.
runs.
Well,
Yeah. So he's made 5 starts for the Giants. And he'll get the ball against the Yankees, you would think, over the weekend this week. 888, by the way,